We are releasing the draft Clean Electricity Regulation, part of our government's comprehensive plan to develop a clean, affordable, and reliable electricity grid, and ultimately to build a brighter future for generations of Canadians.
It's a plan for a net zero electrical grid, sort of. The Environment Minister releasing draft regulations for a net zero green electrical grid by the year 2035, but there's still a place for fossil fuels. Electrical plants that use natural gas will still be allowed to run as long as they emit less than 30 tons of CO2 annually. Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault saying the draft regulations are an early signal to the electrical industry to let them know what the expectations are going to be.
They want to know what the rules of the games will be, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're giving them a lot of time to prepare for that, the 12 years.
There are lots of carve-outs, though. Remote and northern communities, like some First Nations, get an exemption. Plants generating less than 25 megawatts also get a pass. Fossil fuel plants with carbon capture can emit more than the 30-ton limit if they have high-efficiency carbon capture and storage. And new fossil fuel plants commissioned by the end of next year will be allowed to operate for at least 20 years. The Environment Minister, a former Greenpeace activist himself, also agrees the regulations won't get Canada to net zero by 2035. Electrical providers just need to start complying by 2035. And there's also criticism of the focus on carbon emissions. In Ottawa, Indigenous leaders expressing opposition to a proposed nuclear waste disposal site at Chalk River underline that CO2 isn't the only pollution Canada must be wary of.
What the nuclear industry's been able to do is sugarcoat and gloss over, the dangers that come with the nuclear industry. They'll talk about the fact that it's zero carbon and green energy, but what we don't talk about is the legacy waste that it creates.
And some provinces say they simply won't comply. In May, Saskatchewan's premier said its target for net zero is 2050, not 2035. And Alberta has expressed concerns about tying funding for green energy projects to meeting the 2035 target. Environment and Climate Change Canada estimate the average household energy bill will increase between $35 and $61 if the regulations are adopted, but saying just 2% of that comes from the regulations.
The draft regulations are unconstitutional, irresponsible, unrealistic, and would make life less affordable for Albertans and Canadians. They will not be implemented in our province, period.
For now, the draft regulations are just that, a draft. Provinces and territories have at least 75 days to offer their opinion on the draft regulations, but the Environment Minister couldn't say what, if anything, could cause the federal government to change its position. In Ottawa, Shaoli Lee, City News.